Good morning. It is Wednesday, the Wednesday following the 40th episode / interview of I Want to Know Your Story that has been posted to the YouTube channel. I am excited to do a little recap of episodes 31 through 40, kind of giving you guys a little idea of what each interview meant to me, what I got out of them, what I learned from each story, and why I hope you'll go check them out if you haven't already. So without further ado, I will start with episode 31. This was Kawea's interview. This interview came by way of the interview we had done with Junior Leto, and he introduced me to Kawea, and she wanted to talk about her story. She shared that she was adopted, so I learned all kinds of interesting things about the open adoption relationship that she had with her birth mom, her adoptive family, how they lived near each other, and what growing up looked like. She talked about life and breakups and struggling with anxiety and the pressure of social media. So I just got a lot of strength from her and her passion to succeed. She does so many things, and she's quite an inspiration. I see her posting on Instagram all the time, and I just love what she's up to. So I hope you guys will click on the link in my bio and check it out. Episode 32 was Lawrence, aka Geekster the Super Nerd. Lawrence came and sent a direct message to me asking to do an interview. He does music, and so he wanted to share a little bit of that. But we dug real deep with Lawrence. Lawrence is from Mississippi, and he tells me that he grew up from like first grade that he can remember being bullied, and having his mom, when she dropped him off from school, he would go off into the playground and hide and stay gone until the teachers found him. And that just broke my heart for someone that young to feel like they didn't fit in at a time where everyone is growing and changing, and they're just kids. So I just really enjoyed listening to his story, and the fact that he was willing to share and be open. And I am extremely passionate about empowering today's youth and to be kind to each other as kids. And I personally think that starts also with parents. If you know that your kids aren't treating other children right, maybe a lesson in how that they would feel if they were being treated that way. I know that's what my mom always taught us, was treat others as you would like to be treated. And I am 42 years old, and that still sticks with me. So thank you again to Lawrence, Geekster the Super Nerd, for connecting with me and sharing your story. Interview 33 was with Santana. This interview actually had to be re-recorded because it was so much fun the first time we broke the internet. She has so much energy and is so vibrant, and talks about being a journalist and also being a female in her space and trying to enlist the assistance of people that could mentor her. She talks about the unrealistic expectations that people had in helping a female in that industry, and how she, put the kibosh on that, and unfortunately it was an uncomfortable situation, and she, had to remove herself from that path. But she's been doing great, and she dreams of being able to be a journalist full time. I encourage you to check out her story as well. I just, perseverance and passion is what I got from Santana, and I'm grateful to have sat down with her twice. So lucky me. Episode 34, Heidi Tyner. Heidi is a friend of mine through a poker group that I belong to, and I did not know Heidi before we sat down for our conversation, and she informed me about a nonprofit that she started with her mother-in-law, and it was for her son. Her son has a rare genetic disorder that is to this day still undiagnosed. I believe her son is 19, and this has been going on since he was 3. He is permanently on a feeding tube, and she talks about all the day-to-day with the feeding tubes and how many different disease states require patients to have a feeding tube. I was completely unaware. I love learning new things, especially when it comes to people's health and understanding. Imagine how many people we walk past and we just don't know their internal struggles. She talks about how underweight her son has been so many times that they've almost lost him. So I'm glad that he's doing well now. She's doing well. Her foundation is called Joseph's Genetic Journey, and they provide feeding tube pads and belts to people in the United States at free of charge. So definitely check her out if you know anyone or you'd like to support the organization. Again, her episode was 34, so click the link in my bio and go to the YouTube channel. And up next, Michael Colomb. Michael actually was introduced to me by the same friend who introduced me to Heidi Tyner. So she connected Michael and I, and what a fun conversation. Michael and I sat at a park and we social distanced, and we talked about his desire to follow his dreams and how in doing so he's become an inspiration to others. And he was very inspirational to me, and I connected with him in that type of way where he lets me know that the things that I'm doing are okay, and it's okay to want something for yourself and to go after it. He discusses in his interview how he just up and quit one day, walked into HR and said, I'm done. And he decided to make films, and he's been doing it ever since and has an amazing network of people and an amazing support group. In his interview, he also talks about coming out to his family and what his struggles were leading up to that moment, and even some after when he was able to be open and share with his friends. So definitely check out Michael's story. Next up, we've got Shannon, episode 37. So Shannon was introduced to me by the wonderful people who edit these interviews and put them up on the YouTube channel for me. They're an amazing duo. Shout out to Lion's Den and Crystal and Remy. So thank you for everything you do. But Shannon wanted to share her story. Shannon is a single mom who is an artist and has so much vision and so much passion and creativity. She invited me into her world, shared her art with me, and shared her story. She was very uncomfortable talking about herself. She has a daughter who she loves to boast about, but when it comes to talking about herself, she's a little introverted and a little shy and uncomfortable. And I think what I loved most about Shannon's interview is watching her evolve through the conversation. She starts off kind of sideways to the camera and looking down and looking up, and by the end she's facing you and really telling her story and really empowered by the things that she's saying. And that really made me feel good because I felt like we were connecting, and that is what I got out of Shannon's story, is that people can connect even when they're uncomfortable, as long as they realize someone is listening. And the very last question that I ask in my interviews, I asked to Shannon. I ask, what do you think, there's one thing that you could tell people about you, what would it be? And her answer, which I won't spoil for you, so you have to click the link and go watch. But her answer was like a punch in the gut to me. And the fact that what she answered lets me know that she just wants to be noticed. She wants to be heard, and I encourage you all to watch her interview. Just even for that little bit is enough to maybe have you look at people a little bit differently. So, episode number 38, Priscilla. Priscilla followed I Want to Know Your Story on Instagram, and I in turn followed her back, and she posts a lot about her life and her journey. And there was a post that she made one day that made me reach out to her and say, hey, if you ever want to share your story, I'm here. And she messaged right back and said, I would love to. And the excitement and the enthusiasm and the organic follow and the organic conversation really meant a lot to me. But what she shares is her struggles with anxiety and depression and her journey and where she's been. She's moved, I believe. I think she lives in Texas, and how she's gained her confidence through working out and building, not only mental strength, but physical strength. And I admire her. I admire her openness. I also have anxiety, so it's really great to know that someone's out there willing to share their story and be open to others that need to talk as well. So Priscilla is also a vet tech, and so she's with animals all day, every day. So we talked about how animal therapy is a real thing and how sometimes our animals just know that we need them at the right time. So again, I just had a wonderful conversation with her, and if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, number 38. Next is episode 39, which is Anna and my conversation. So Anna Elena Pepe is from Italy. So she's Italian and British. And so when we did our interview, she was actually in Italy, which was very cool to be conducting an interview across the pond. So I really felt like I had broadened the horizons, and I had kind of extended now to a broader audience, which makes me feel good because it's not just about connecting those in close proximity. It's about connecting us all and creating a global community and understanding each other to create a better conversation. And Anna is amazing. She's a filmmaker. She's a writer. She is all about creating empowering roles and unique roles for women in film. So there's a couple of projects that she's worked on even since quarantine. So we discussed those. The question in Anna's interview that was awesome. I asked her, what is the one thing that would surprise people to know about you? So definitely go and click the link in my bio and find out what she says, because I would be willing to bet that you could comment now, you could DM me and guess, you would never guess. I wouldn't have guessed. And so she just shows me that intelligence, integrity, and passion and drive. She talks a lot about multitasking and keeping busy and thriving off of multiple projects. So that speaks to me because I'm always doing so many things. So definitely check out Anna's interview. It was quite special. And last but not least, Gigi Knopf. Gigi is a holistic health care provider and a mental health advocate. She's also a writer. She has a couple of books that she's published with some poetry in them. So I highly encourage people to check those out. Gigi liked a tweet of mine, and so I tweeted back thank you and started following her on Twitter as well. And just the fact that she was a mental health advocate intrigued me, so I sent her a message and asked her a couple of questions about that. And then of course it led to doing an interview. Her energy is contagious. She's so upbeat and so positive, and if you click the link and watch her interview on the YouTube channel, you can see behind her is a whole bunch of art. And she talks about being creative and feeling that everyone has a creative side to them. And so when people come to her house, she invokes their creative juices and tries to get them to create some art or has some project or some group thing everyone can be involved in. I want to go to Gigi's house. That sounds so fun. So post-quarantine, I think I'm going to have to fly to Florida and go to Gigi's. But she also talks about COVID and how it has different effects on people, and the introverts and the extroverts, and how different we are and how we're handling things differently. So definitely check it out. I think she's all about people, and so am I. And someone commented, I absolutely love your interviews. Keep doing what you do. Thank you so much. You have no idea what that means to me. I am so intrigued by human beings. And I understand that being human isn't one size fits all, and every story is important. I do these interviews, my fiance would tell you it's because I'm nosy, but I do these interviews because I really want to get to know and understand people. And the only way that we can treat each other better is to attempt to understand each other. So please follow on Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I greatly appreciate it. The people who share their stories greatly appreciate it. I encourage you to reach out to me and share your story. Enjoy the rest of your week, and thanks again.